Yes, it's definitely picking up our voices. There's somebody on there. I forgot to put something on.
Oh. Well, I've already started it, so I'll just say, looks like we're having internet problems. We'll be on in just a few minutes. All the time, you're prepared. Why aren't you prepared in reverse? Choose 18, 17. All right. Well, look at that. He's on fire, man. Sitting in his studio. How are you today?
I'm hot. I'm tired. It's been a long morning so far. I got into the shop early to get a vehicle prepped out for my guys with finishing out a PPF job yesterday. And then I had a couple early consultations that weren't scheduled that just kind of showed up. So, hey, it's money. You're not going to say no, right? And then I have every Thursday, I have an hour in my studio here where I do pad work with one of my old boxing trainers so I could get in the time I need to stay fine-tuned just in case things decide to pop off in this world. Or at an evening,
That's right. At an evening.
Who knows? but either or. So yeah, I'm just cooling down from that, and then jumping onto this, and then I go to jump on, and some reason, which is odd because the podcast area all hardwired in, didn't show internet, so I just unplugged the modem and plugged it back in, and boom, done, fixed, good.
That's it.
Sometimes a reboot is exactly what you need, man. I'm telling you.
It's so weird how that works, right? It's I guess because it just runs for so long and so hard that, yeah.
Yep.
Well,
But-
we're super excited to have you. For those of you tuning in, if you don't know who this is, I'm surprised. This is Justin Labato, owner of JL's showroom. Is it
Auto Salon.
Auto Salon? It's like
and many hats. I mean, that's
That's-
one of the
yeah.
things. You're already talking about some of the hats, like, you know, so your salon, you have full detailing. You've got window tinting. You've got a PNS showroom, or I mean a PNS storefront. What else do you guys provide at the salon?
paint protection film, and we're also have cornered the market with offering RO spotless water for mobile detailers. We've got about 15 plus mobile detailers that come by to pick up or fill up with water and pick up supplies. So it works out very well for the storefront aspect.
Oh wow! So you're doing the DI water for other folks too.
Yeah, and nobody in the area, in the county, was doing it. I mean, you've got places that you could get drinking water refills from, right? I mean, that's pretty common.
Right.
But as I did my market research, I noticed that nobody has invested into setting up that way. Again, there's nobody else in the market either locally in my county that does an all-in-one one-stop shop like I have either. So why not add that is what I thought. But maybe they
Right.
don't have the opportunity or the advantage, and you know how detailers are sometimes, and not to knock the detail community, but sometimes people like to stay in their bubble and not deal with other detailers and build those relationships. It's a common thing. So me, on the other hand, I've been involved with obviously other detailers locally and outside of that. So it was like, hey, why not make it a hub?
Right.
You know,
Well,
that way
then
we could go
there's
ahead.
other hats you wear, right? So, you know,
Buff
and
the
Shine.
poster child for Buff and Shine, which you got
Yeah.
a better picture of that behind your head. But then you're also you do trainings. You're not just a recognized trainer, but you also do trainings for from Rennie's group all the way across. I mean to the other tip of the country there in Florida, which we've been to a couple of those there. So you do deal with a lot of detailers because you're
Yep.
out there actually helping detailers in your area learn how to do their trade better.
Yeah.
As well as now a new venture that you're jumping into. So holy crap. And some investments on the side in a club. I mean, I don't know where you get. There's like 6
It's
of
a
you.
bar and restaurant, not a club. Because if it was a club, I probably wouldn't be here as often.
There's just a lot of hats that you wear. I'm like, how do you find the time to do that? Plus, you have a wonderful family at home. You got a couple of kids, a beautiful wife. You take care of that. I mean, holy cow, dude! Do you sleep at all?
Comfortably.
Yeah,
Comfortably. Yeah, with my wife and my daughter, which she shouldn't be in the bed, but she still is. That's a whole other subject. It's just comfortably she's with me. Yeah. So I don't know. It's one of those things like, and I hate to compare myself because there's such bigger, better, badder entrepreneurs out there in the world that really absolutely kill it. But you kind of start to roll with the punches in life, and you start to figure out what opportunities make for best interest of being able to balance your time. Yeah. Some require a significant amount of time, some don't. And if you're able to fit in those opportunities within a 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. time frame in your day, why not take it on, especially if it produces additional revenue, or maybe it just adds to the resume temporarily to achieve that next level or next goal in your life, whatever that may be, right. Such as like Auto Geek, for example. That was not in my sight of goals or anything that I had established in regards to building my resume. This was just something that came up because of where and what I've done, to a point to where I guess I was at the top of that list as a candidate to fulfill that spot with Mike exiting. So I just, asked what kind of time was involved and looked at it that way and said, this is where I feel I want to be. Where do you guys want to be? And everybody was happy, and we moved forward, and mother feather in the cap.
Right.
But that's a whole nother journey in itself. I feel that's going to bloom over the
Right.
years.
So what is your official title at AutoGeek?
Technically, it's more of the lead education consultant. So I'm going to help lead that whole space in regards to education, training, all the product videos on content for when vendors that or manufacturers that AutoGeek offers their products, we'll be able to go and do product videos. Same thing with the trainings going into 2022 as we open up a little bit more and have some trainings. And the good thing right now with AutoGeek, if you're not aware, if the listeners aren't aware, is that there's been a change in the videographer. Yancey stepped out and he pursued a lot of what he's really good at on his own. So there's a new videographer there. Mike obviously stepping out and me filling in that position, and them having a brand new facility that they're moving into at the end of this year. So it's going to be a whole new look, whole new feel. So it's going to be quite the opportunity to help build that new legacy of what Mike has done such a great job at building. So to help kind of continue that.
I think that's we got to give a shout out to Mike Phillips. I mean, that guy is such a legend in the industry. He has had such an impact. He's trained so many people. Excuse me. And to have the opportunity for you to come in on his shoulders, on the foundation that he set, and now you get to build that next legacy. And I'm straight up excited because I saw what you did as the president of the IDA. And other than you and Keith, to me, you and Keith Duplessis were hands down the best presidents that we've had in the past couple of years. And so I'm really excited to see what you're going to do to bring that to, the next level to the AutoGeek training experience, and to bring your personality, your experience, your passion for the industry and entrepreneurship. I think will really elevate that experience for people going to the AutoGeek trainings.
100% agree. I think all those things you touched on, some of those things are missing in the lineup of training at AutoGeek. A lot of it was geared towards show car garage detailing. Nothing wrong with that. Mike did a great job at it. Didn't really get to touch too much in the category of interior and or business. So that's where me coming in and having the experience of an operator and somewhat, I would consider a successful operator, allows me to kind of preach and speak based on my experience. And then, of course, my travels of others' experiences to really help with those coming into the industry or still in the industry that want to grow.
Right. And that's one of those things. Is I was actually talking to one of our clients today who, I mean, obviously everybody can't be everything, right? You got to work in your environment. The reason your shop is successful is because of where you're at and because of who you are. So everybody's unique. But I was talking to somebody who does a lot of different services, that picks up a bunch of different services, does some storage, which is a great way to get a captive audience. You store vehicles or motorcycles or RVs, you got a captive audience to bring them in and clean them and do the detailing on them. And then, like you look at folks like Jim Gogan, who's got multiple lines of business. And I think that's what's important. And that's one of the things that I like about what you said about taking the opportunities as they come, is people have to look in their area and see, what does your environment lead you into? If you're in a very, very cold climate, you're going to go a different route than if you're a very warm climate. If you don't have boats, obviously you don't want to be a boat guy in the middle of the snow. So, yeah. but there's people that do that kind of stuff. Up in Alaska, you got a couple of buddies up there that, that do stuff in Alaska that have a really good niche in Alaska. And, people say, Alaska, who details in Alaska? Well, there's a lot of people in Alaska, in a lot of the cities. And, Alex does a great job up there, and Ryan McGowan, a couple of the guys we know up in Alaska that really do a really good job up there. So, focusing on your area and what you're doing, we look at some of the people that we met. This year we've gone to 2 events. Unfortunately, SEMA looks like it's having a lot of issues, but, the Southern Detailers Conference, we saw you there, and there's a lot of people that were at that thing. And then we were just at MTE and saw a lot of people from over on this end of the country. that are, as well are picking up business in their specific area. You know, Justin Day and Tommy Romo, some of the guys from Las Vegas. That it's really unique. We get, and I feel we're very fortunate in the sense that we get to travel around a lot and we get to see a lot of these different environments and meet with a lot of people that have a different way of doing it. So if you're talking to a young person just starting out, you know, what advice do you give somebody who walks into your training? Hi, I'm Joe, and I've just started this 6 months ago. You know, what advice do you give them to figure that out?
Without being too blunt, I would say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Start there.
Yep.
And then from there, you know, be a sponge. You know, absorb as much as you can. Sometimes wring yourself out to get rid of the excess stuff that's not needed, and then, you know, absorb again. You know, and listen and learn from different people, because not every perspective is going to be right or wrong, but it's just going to be that the way that they did it that made them successful. So kind of cherry pick at what you feel is a good fit for you and put your own spin on it and run with it. But it takes time. And I think the instant gratification of this day and age is what screws people up, because they expect to walk into a shop like mine and or other shops like that are even bigger and badder than mine and be like, I want this. I could just make this happen overnight. And they don't see the blood, sweat, tears, and years, you know, decade or double decade of somebody building that, and people sleeping in their cars and all that side of it. And that's where they need to realize that time will deliver as long as they, you know, stay motivated and set goals and listen to the right people and, you know, do the right thing with integrity. And I think all that adds up to being a winner and being more successful and figuring it out, you know, shoot for the stars, land on the moon kind of scenario.
Right.
How long did it take you to get to where you are today?
Funny thing is, you know, and you guys have heard this story, you know, I was unemployed second quarter of 2008 and got into detailing June of 2008, June 1st, and then January 1st I owned my own business, and then I just never looked back. But I knew, because of who I was in my past and my background of being a screw up, that I had one opportunity to make something of myself and do right by it. And I wasn't really the best in school, so I just ran with it. But 13 years to be exact, you know, 13 years of hard grinding. And my first event is what changed my world, literally changed my world. My first Mobile Tech Expo event, and meeting Mike Phillips, meeting Rennie Doyle, meeting Jason Rose, meeting, you know, the people in the industry that had helped grow it from that point and back, and getting in front of them and actually staying in the involvement of the events. That's really, I think, what helped mold it. And again, taking my own advice and listening to those people and taking what worked for me and running with it and exercising it. You know what I mean? Someone could tell you something, just like guys that go to college and then they get out and they never exercise their degree.
Yeah,
you know, it's the same idea. And not everybody's a fit for this, you know? And that's the thing, is you got to be a certain type of person to really hustle this kind of side of work out in the industry and all these different tasks, whether it be detailing, tint, PPF. I mean, they are all kind of starting to fall under the same umbrella right now, moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to really listen to that, your story, and a lot of people that are in the same boat. I mean, you look at how long Mike Phillips and Jason Rose and Rennie Doyle have been in the game. And every one of those guys, including yourself, are trying to help the next group of people do it faster. And I don't think people realize that when you go to a training and you learn from somebody, they're literally there to help you do it quicker than they did. But you still can't skip steps. And that's the, you know, Jody and I and Prentice Sinclair are doing a business series that's going to start here in September
16th.
And it's really talking about business. And one of the keys to that is you can't skip steps. You know, I can't come off the street and go, okay, how do I need to set up my Facebook page so that I get 5,000 customers tomorrow? Well, it's not going to happen. You've got to start with something. You got to build the reputation, and you got to go through all the steps, you know. I always go back to some automotive example, but my dad used to always tell me, he's like, nobody comes out of high school and buys a Ferrari. You got to You got to have a piece of crap to start with. Everybody has a piece of crap to start with. And it helps you appreciate it when you get to the level of when you have a nicer car. You just have to go through the steps, and you can't skip. If you skip, you're going to fall backwards. And sometimes when you fall backwards, you go, okay, what did I skip there? What did I do wrong? Okay, I didn't know enough about this area, and you learn and you go forward. I mean, I saw a statistic 2 days ago. It said it took Apple Corporation 42 years to get to $1 trillion in revenue, and to get to $2 trillion, it took them 1 year. So if they hadn't taken those 42 years and all of those steps to get to that first trillion, they never would have gotten to where it took them 1 year to get to it, the next trillion. So
that's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. It's staggering, but
it is. And then maintaining it, right? You know, it's one thing getting there. Then now that you're there, you're like, shit, now what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, how do I maintain just what I just spent that 42 years building? Like, oh crap, there's the challenge, right?
Right, but sometimes I know that you've allowed us a lot of insight into your business, which we really appreciate. But you know, for you wouldn't have gone that first year and expanded into that whole shop. You weren't at that level, right? And so by taking that spot you had to begin with and then expanding years later, you're able to maintain that. You've put your financial self in a position where you can afford it. You know, COVID didn't affect your business adversely. And I watched a lot of people in March of last year go 2 weeks out the door. They did not have themselves set up. They did not have the foundation.
It's, I mean, when I bought the business, I bought it from a gentleman that I went to work for June 1st. And 6 months later, I owned his business. But the point to that is that the location he was at was about 800 square feet. And he was right around $600 a month in his payment out of that bay. And I had the opportunity to move into the building I'm in now because my relationships of working for the car audio and window tint business in the early 2000s, they had opened up 1,800 square feet in the back of their building. And the funny thing is, every time me and that gentleman would go to lunch, we would always drive by this building because it was literally right around the block. And we'd be like, man, that'd be so cool if they put a detailer in there because they do so much traffic with car audio and window tint. It's all related. And then when I had the opportunity, but what held me back for about a month was $200, going from 600 and some change to 800 and some change in a monthly rent fee. And that was a big difference because I was used to a couple unemployment checks and getting into detailing and just making a little bit of cash with him. And I wasn't mentally prepared for that level of financial gain and trying to figure all that out. And it took a little while. And now when I look at it, what I did in my year of 2009, which was a completely different time in detailing, there weren't coatings, there weren't big bad shops, there weren't a level. I mean, it wasn't that way. It was common core stuff. You had to earn it. You really had to hustle it out and grind it out. But that first year, my revenue, we do in a week now.
Yep.
A whole year of revenue in my first year, we now do in 1 week.
Right. And it's not that
it's just that's huge.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you know, I see a lot of people out there that are kind of the only thing they post is the Ferrari or, you know, the Corvette or the Hellcat, and that's great. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to do stuff. But you know, the times I've been in your shop, there's a Mazda in there. There's a Mazda SUV. There's
every time,
every single time. And so the thing about that is you've got a great reputation in your area. You know, I mean, in your county, you are like the guy to go to, and you get high-end cars. But what I like about it is that your guys put just as much attention into the Mazda SUV as they do into the Ferrari, right? I mean, obviously different paint, different techniques, different amount of liability, but the thing is the same. A ceramic coating going on that car, there's just as much care when you're doing like what I call the QC, when you're doing the walkthrough around the end of it. You're telling them the same thing. You're like, hey, there's a spot over here. Make sure you clean that up. Make sure you do this. And your guys are like, yeah, I know, I've got that. And so that's what I like about the training and the work ethic that goes into your shop is that those guys know that each and every one of those adds to the whole bucket. You know, it's not just show the really cool one. It's show all of them.
No. And to your point, that's the thing is it's just keeping it open. And in time, you know, that's where living through it allows you to just, one, help others. But the building of that, over time. I mean, obviously it doesn't come overnight, right?
Right.
I think there was something there that you said a few minutes ago that is really, really important about 2009. You had to mentally dig in to where you were in your business. And I think a lot of times business owners hit a wall, and the true test of whether or not they're going to make it is if they can mentally shift and go, you know what, I need to execute in these aspects of my business so that I can push through this challenging time. And I think that's really, I think a lot of people really struggle with that, right? Because they have this idea, they see you, they see Rennie, they see, Mike Phillips, they see all these successful people, and they don't see the process that it took to get you. They just see that all of a sudden you're there, right? And nobody can prepare you for that personal journey. So talk about how that mental entrepreneurial mindset really, really is critical to your success as a business owner.
There's a shift. I don't know when or how each individual has this shift, so I'll speak on it from my own perspective. But my shift was, everybody says go through trainings. Absolutely. And they are very important. You got to pick and choose wisely, because, some content is like textbook style. You put the pad on the machine, you apply the product, put the product on the pad, and on the pad. Great, good. You're going through the arithmetic of the process. Then there's where you get more of that internal, like, I'm going to guide you. Yes, you're going to do it this way. You're going to do it that way. But here's the reason behind why you need to do it that way. And those kind of trainings are really more involved, I feel like, on a personal level versus the textbook style. And to my point of saying that is like when I did Rennie's training, and I'll talk about this till the end of time, because it was very important to me. It may not be important to other people, but it is one of the top trainings that you're going to be able to go through, because it's going to change you mentally. And that's the whole point of it. It's not just about the textbook style of detailing. This is personal life and detailing and moving forward. And there was something that he said to me on the car ride home one night that said, you need to stop focusing so much on how good you can make the paint look, because you're going to stay so focused on that, looking down, always focusing on being a purist and trying to get rid of this and get rid of that you're going to miss other opportunities that are going to come your way. Because you're going to be so focused on the craft that business opportunities are just going to pass you by. Because you're so focused on, I got to be the best. I got to be the purest. That's when I started to realize it's all freaking paint and wheels. And then I started going to different shows, right? I did Barrett, I did, Monterey, and I started seeing all these super cars and high-end cars. Yeah, they have different sexy curves to them, but it's all paint and wheels at the end of the day. Yeah, one's more expensive, one's a little bit one-off, whatever the case may be that makes it this big deal. But it's all paint and wheels. And at that point, you're just enhancing and preserving somebody's vehicle as a luxury service. Now, granted, we all got to start with dealing with mom and, soccer mom and kid cars and crappy cars. But at the end of the day, it all flips to where it's now a matter of what can I do to offer you a luxury service that will provide something that is going to enhance and preserve your investment. And that's where it becomes business. And then once you start looking at this business, that's when things switch. That's when you be a technician that runs a business versus a technician that's just basically a technician within your own business. What I mean? And you're not looking at it from that perspective. And you need to be a business owner first. It's good to be a technician. And the biggest thing I learned growing up with my father always being in restaurants is that you need to know every aspect and know how to be a player on the team from every point. You need to know how to wash dishes. You need to be a server. You need to be a hostess. You need to be able to run the numbers. You need to be able to cook. That way, if someone's out, you got it all. Same thing with detailing and running the shop. If you could do all that stuff, and you're willing to jump in, but yet you could run the numbers and also get the books filled for scheduling, that's going to make you a badass business owner.
Yes.
Because I see some of these guys jumping in that zero detailing skills, but they want to run a detail shop with 5 guys.
Yeah,
Good
they
luck.
got to understand it. And that's what, funny, we changed our logo to this guy that's like half, it's got basically what it envisions is you're half business owner and you're half technician. You can't be one thing. You can't have one hat, right? And I think so many times people get stuck in the mode of, I've got to be, like you said, this badass detailer, and you do, but then you've got to learn how to pass that on. I mean, if people want to go to that next level, the next level of ownership in a detailing shop is having somebody else do some of the work so that you're not constantly, because if you're constantly a one-man shop and you're constantly working on the car, who's out selling your next job?
You're going
right?
to cap. Always
Right,
going
you're
to
going
cap.
to cap out, and that's as fast and as far as you can go, and that's okay if that's your goal. But you've got to look at your goals and be realistic, measure them, and see what is that next thing. What is that next thing that I want to do? Everybody's obviously not going to be the spokesperson for Buff and Shine, and those are wonderful opportunities that people get. But they've got to be able to figure out how to do it in their area, And so, I have an analogy. I know a guy that he's a college professor. He's a really super intelligent guy. He started his life out as a managing bands, and he tells this story where he goes, "Yeah, I had this crappy garage band that I managed out of Texas," and he goes, "And I just fired him. I told him," he goes, "I walked into the guy, and he said, you guys suck. One chord, and you guys suck, and you'll never go anywhere." And he goes, "And I walked out." And he goes, "And then Billy Gibbons looked at me and flipped me off, and I walked away." And he was the manager for ZZ Top before they got big.
Oh, damn.
But he couldn't see beyond that next level and where they could go. And so his blind spot took him in a different direction. He's a successful guy. He's a college professor, and he does really well for himself. But he always uses that as an example of don't let your ego get too far ahead of you to see that next level of where you can go.
I agree. And even just to put it out there, like with my opportunities, I never asked for any of it.
Right.
I just stayed in my lane and put my head down. The only thing I personally went after was education. I wanted to know how to be a better technician, a better business owner,
Yep.
Obviously for money, and being able to grow the business and be better at the business. But after that, that's when the opportunities came, such as Mothers, Buff and Shine, Auto Geek. All these opportunities came to me versus me going after them. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They try to step out of their comfort zone when they're at an event and be like, "Hey, you need somebody to be a spokesperson or ambassador for your brand. I got you."
Yeah.
It's like, no, let them come to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing is, there's a huge difference, but it's very subtle between being cocky and being confident.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people confuse those because they have their own mind involved in it. I've never viewed you as somebody that's cocky. You're very confident in what you do. When you're training people, you're very confident in your skills and everything. But there are some people out there that are super cocky, and that doesn't get you anywhere. And I think your confidence is kind of what draws those opportunities to you. You're soft-spoken. A lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people talk about other people and well, that guy's not approachable or whatever. You're super approachable. I mean, somebody could just walk up and ask you a question, and that's why I think those opportunities come to you. And you have absolutely zero ego about helping somebody that doesn't know anything. So I think those are some qualities that people need to have is, open yourself up. Quit being so cocky about stuff. Allow your, if the guy that's next to you calls you up and asks you a question, don't roll your eyes and, "Oh, freaking idiot." Just help him out. I mean, there's two guys in Salt Lake that their shops are really close. Brigham Salazar, and I can't remember the other guy's name right now. I apologize. But they could be competitors. They're right there. But they actually work together. And
That's
they'll call each
awesome.
other up. Brigham will go, "Hey, I got a huge ceramic job. If you can come over, I'll split it with you." And they actually work together really, really well. And I think that you take a lot of the ego out of that, and you're helping each other out. There's plenty of work to go around,
I think one of the things too that you said there's you got to really dominate your lane, right? As you dominate the lane that you've chosen for your business, those opportunities will come over time.
Bingo.
Right. So don't try to force them. Just focus on upping your game, becoming the best business owner, the best craftsman that you can become, and offer the best service. Not only will you, attract the right customers for your business that will extend your brand and your consistency over time, but you'll also be perceived as someone not only a leader in your community, but also in the industry. So as you're looking forward, because I mean, obviously we can keep going. What do you have coming up that's exciting, with Auto Geek that people can look forward to, and especially coming up in 2022?
So with finalizing the year with everything they have going on with their new facility, we're going to get to that point of letting everything get settled once the move in is done, and then looking at 2022 is when we're really going to go into offering some of the trainings that were previously offered with AutoGeek. We're looking at the curriculum right now on how we're going to title it, how we're going to involve other brands like they have in the past, maybe some other trainers, and really expand it going into 2022 with the same idea of doing, 2 to 3 to 4 trainings a year under the AutoGeek brand at the facility. And the best thing I love about that is that they got everything at their fingertips, every tool, every product.
Yeah. Yep.
But now we get to talk business, and we get to do all these additional things that are other opportunities that are now offered from AutoGeek previously, that weren't, now are. And it's good because that's the direction they want to go into now, is going after more of the professional market. They were always really into the consumer market, obviously, but I think in the past 20 years, they've established a really good following with that aspect of it, and professionals just alike. But yeah, I think now that's kind of the vision that they have at AutoGeek, that we have together, and we're just putting stuff together and framing things up as we speak. So, I mean, this is, it's new, just like when I got involved with Buff and Shine, my first year, it was all new. They didn't have a spokesman or anybody helping them out in the detail community. So it's things that you have to build as a relationship, right? Like a husband and wife, you don't know. We just met, went on our first date. Now we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Now we're, engaged, and then we're going to be married. And as you all know, after marriage, things change there too. So it's all time, right? So it's a relationship essentially that right now we're dating and we're on the engagement side, contract to say. And so let's see how this goes, with the marriage and all that good stuff. I foresee it, and they foresee it being a very positive thing. But this day and age that we live in, anything could be thrown at us for a wrench, right?
Well, I think it's going to be huge. I'm super excited, and I'm excited for you. I mean, this is a great kudos to you. It is, it is well-deserved. I mean, you truly are a phenomenal ambassador. I've watched what you've done for the IDA, for Buff and Shine, for, training people. And I'm just excited, and I want to, give you a mad shout out. Rod and I are super proud to be associated with you, and look forward to seeing what you have coming. So how do people get connected with you?
They could reach out to me on social media. I have Facebook. It's just Justin Labato, or the JL Showroom Model Salon for the business page, and the same thing with Instagram, JL Showroom Model Salon. They could call the shop directly. The shop number is 321-723-6976. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here Monday through Friday, unless I'm out for an event or something I'm obligated to within the industry. But aside from that, I'm here Monday through Friday. So they could hit me up that way.
That's awesome.
And if you get an opportunity to go to one of the trainings, it's awesome. Not just an awesome facility, but it gives you a really good idea of how to set up multiple lines of business. You've got them segmented out beautifully where each one has a focus. And I think it's kind of it's a perfect scenario to just show people how to do, a storefront or window tint or PPF or detailing or anything, training, you name it.
Yeah.
Justin's involved.
The biggest thing too is, a lot, like you had mentioned earlier, to touch on that, is a lot of the guys jump in and they see the Ferraris and all the posts, and social media it's a necessary evil, right? You got to be on, but you don't want to be on because there's a lot of fake it till you make it, and there's a lot of BS, but there's a lot of realism behind it. So it's kind of hard to navigate through that and see who's really doing what, right? Yep. So, with that, we started doing the same thing where in the beginning our reputation was built on interiors, and then as as correction and coding became a thing, I got into it in 2013. So I was an early adapter to say to a lot of that within the market. But we don't look at the high-end supercars. Some people think I want to just detail those, and it's like, no, we've moved into working with brand new to like new vehicles.
Yeah.
So it makes, yes, the work easier. But like you had mentioned, I don't care if it's a Mazda, a Camry. If it's a brand new car, it gives me a better opportunity to preserve somebody's return on investment with that vehicle investment by investing in us. And then it becomes a relationship. And that's how I look at it from a business perspective. And then retention, right? Getting it back in for the maintenance. I don't care what we're putting on there. I mean, it's quality, it's premium in regards to a treatment of a coating or PPF, whatever the case may be. We're not playing brand wars, and I'm not being a cheerleader for the biggest coating company around. I want the formulation. I want it to work. And then I want the customer to be happy. And I want to get paid what it's worth. But I want the return to maintain that, to build that relationship. And that's where it's kind of moved us into a category of working on mostly brand new vehicles, to where now when customers come in with those old beaters or just nasty vehicles, I just respectfully tell them they're not a candidate for our services. And then I get to refer them out and spread the love within the detail community locally to others that would like to do that and build their reputation on those beaters.
No, that's good.
Right. You got to know when
awesome.
to say no. And that's when you get to that point, that's a beautiful day in your life. We hit that several years ago, and we literally turned down a client and said, and they're a huge client. It was well, I'm not gonna say their name, but
that's why you sleep at night.
That's right.
You're comfortable, right? You're happy where you are. You've built your business to a point where you're comfortable. You have a nice living. You can support your family. You're pursuing other ventures as you're being invited to, because people see the brand that you've built and they want to be associated with that. So, as you dominate your lane, as you stay in that and build your brand, build your business, those opportunities will come. So just be patient. And that's the hardest thing as a business owner to be, is patient, to pay the price to get that success that you've been driving for. But it will come as you put forth the effort over time.
Yep.
So, well, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. If there's anything we can do, guys, please go check out Justin Labato. If you don't know him, I don't know where
you've been hiding under a rock somewhere, but
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very
much.
Out Justin's stuff, and then can't wait to see the new facility that AutoGeek's putting together. I've been spamming the social media and Megan and being like, hey, when can we come visit? Hey, when can we come visit?
That's
so
right. I can't wait.
Can't wait to see it. So,
well, you have a fantastic day. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will check you same time, same bat channel, just next week.
Awesome, Jody, Rod, appreciate it, guys. Have a good day.
See you later.
Thank you, buddy.